It's amazing. That's why I wanted it in there. Lauren Jones, how the hell are you?
I am super fantastic. You, my friend, I was worried. First thing that I was worried last night, I was worried this morning about Milton being near you. I don't like that.
Can we talk about naming a hurricane after a character in Office Space?
Milton is my uncle and my grandfather's name.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I mean, it's also really the hilarious stapler guy.
My grandfather's name.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I mean, it's also really the hilarious stapler guy from Office Space. So we knew he was going to be a force of nature. And this guy's nothing to joke about, by the way. It's going to be very bad for wherever it hits. So
I know.
If you're in the way, I'm very far south on the peninsula. Hopefully it hits Tampa as predicted. Not that I'm hoping bad things for Tampa, but I am not ready to leave. And if it changes course right now, then I'm going to have to scramble very, very quickly. So anyway, pray for the people of Tampa and their homes and their property or wherever this thing actually makes landfall.
I included them in my prayers last night.
Because it's going to be a thing.
It's a big one.
And then also, if you've never lived through a hurricane, I know like Lauren and I talked about this earlier this week. She's in California. She has fires. We have hurricanes and the
fires and earthquakes.
Yeah. So everyone has something, right? The thing you have to know about hurricanes is if the power goes out and the flooding, like the storm itself, except for a Cat 5, Cat 4, Cat 5, like the winds are going to be very bad, but 3 and below Floridians tend to kind of wink at, but the aftermath is a giant pain in the ass. Like you don't have, in 2005, I didn't have power for 3 weeks in Boca when I was living there. And it was very difficult to do my job. And because everything else was functioning, just my neighborhood didn't have power. There's trees everywhere.
Because they've started putting the electrical below underground. Do they do that in Florida now?
So I live in an older neighborhood. My parents and my in-laws live in the same neighborhood in Parkland, and theirs is underground.
Oh, theirs is underground. I mean, I would just assume that that's better, right?
We're in old Fort Lauderdale plantation.
Old Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, I mean, look, we have our obviously we have property, right? So we have everything is electric. Even the water runs on electricity on the farm. So, yeah, that goes down. Things are impacted. So we have to have a generator. So we have a nice generator. If you have solar, even better. At least some component of solar. I'm not saying make that your entire roof, but some component of solar would be better. But always have an emergency pack. That's the thing that I think, it's saved a lot of lives already in North Carolina, where you hear, some of the Asheville stories that people who, had supplies in their home were, able to fend for themselves until they until care could come in. So I absolutely feel for what North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, everybody, what they're going through right now. I mean, Helene was,
Florida's built a little bit better for that.
Worse than Katrina, I think is what they're saying.
We don't have valleys. There's 250 plus passed from Helene, most of which were in North Carolina, which is crazy to think about.
Right.
And, I don't want to make light of there, but it's just crazy that had such an impact so far up and west. It wasn't east North Carolina. It was west North Carolina, the mountain.
Well, and all the conspiracy theorists come out when you see something like this happen, and the cloud seeding conspiracists are out there, and my goodness,
let's just hope for the best. There's been some really nice tweets of people in Georgia being like, "Hey, we have lots of property and RV hookups. Just come stay."
Oh my gosh, the humanity that I've seen from people. Is amazing. But the guys, conspiracy theorists, this is not the time. Read the room. We need to be focused on the people on the ground right now.
Yeah.
We'll figure that stuff out later.
Ringing inappropriate times. All right.
Yes. And then of course, my phone goes off right when we say inappropriate times.
I know you're the queen of inappropriate phone timing. I love all of that. All right. I didn't really get a lot of news. Guys, I live in South Florida, so I did not have a lot of good news for you guys. But I did see something on the SIA website as I was doing research for the episode. As of August, Nashville, which is the host of Staffing World, in a couple of weeks, we'll all be in Nashville going to I just donated money to the ASA so I could drink whiskey and local whiskey and moonshine, because those are clearly priorities always. And they had the lowest jobless rate in America for a metro region. So Nashville had the lowest jobless rate in August, which was pretty cool to see. So that's all I have for news, Lauren. What do you got?
So I think the biggest one that I have is the jobs report. Although, with 250,000 jobs, I am still sort of holding my breath, because there's some absurd statistic out there about the percentage of Labor Department reporting that has been inaccurate in 2024.
Well, yes to that recently, but the whole labor jobless report has been weird for a while now.
Yeah, it has. Now, here's one of the things that I really want people to think about when they hear that jobs report. So one of the things that the Department of Labor Statistics doesn't take into account are individuals with more than one job. So when we're boasting about 250,000 jobs, what we're not taking into account are those with multiple jobs, which we are at an all-time high of people having to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. So I wish that's something that we could at least account for in those numbers. So, I know the jobs report hasn't been great, greatly accurate over the course of this last year, but let's hope that this is still an upward trend for us.
Yeah, I agree. All right. The Indicator by our good friends over at SIA and at Bullhorn for the week of September 28th, which is it's usually like a week behind. So we're right on schedule here. Obviously, you can't report on the future. It's really hard to report on the current. So we're only down week over week 0.1. So obviously not a whole point, which is nice. And commercial staffing's down 0.2. And professional staffing is actually up 0.6%.
I know.
Went up,
but I do find this fascinating.
Don't you shake your eyes at me, people who are not on camera. I can see you.
I find this fascinating because, and I'm not to be the Debbie Downer, but the last 3 weeks we've enjoyed like 6% over week, 3% over week, and here we have diminishing returns. So
we have 3 states completely out of function right now, by the way.
Agreed.
Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia.
Agreed.
And parts of the 4 states. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. So I don't love seeing this, but I don't know if that dip is due to data or what have you. I think more remains to be seen with this week's data.
Yeah, I agree. And then maybe we'll give it a couple of weeks after hurricane season, because it's been a thing. It's been a thing all of a sudden. It was nothing, and then it's been a thing.
I know. This is as I understand it, hurricane season is June to November.
Yeah.
And so this is quite late in the season for something this big to be happening. Am I right?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that traditionally, like, the hurricanes would hit different areas and different periods of the season. But since I've lived here, I think Wilma hit in October when I was living here in 2005. So I don't necessarily know. And that was a Cat 3 when it hit us. So I don't know. I think it's not that weird. I think this thing being that gigantic that quickly is weird. But again, I'm not an expert. All right. Our feature technology of the week. Let's get rolling here, by the way, guys. We have a fantastic 2 guests with us. If you didn't see my video earlier, we got Alessandra Willshear and Steven, and I can't no idea how to pronounce your last name, buddy, so I'll let you do it later. From GorillaWorks. I think I do, but I'm just not going to do it and butcher it. But the feature technology of the week, and we're going to go with our friends over at Great Recruiters. So what is Great Recruiters? It is a real-time or in real-time way to rate the experience that your recruiters or your sales team are delivering an experience to your talent or your customers. So NPS scores, which Net Promoter Score, if you're not familiar, are used And this is kind of interesting too, Lauren, which I think is like, we usually only send net promoter score surveys to people that we place who are predominantly happier with us. I would say statistically it's true. But Great Recruiters does a good job of sending out surveys at multiple touch points. So, maybe at the time of submission or sending out the survey to everyone, not just the people that you place, to get as close to real-time feedback on that experience. So maybe you have a new recruiter and he or she does not have the, the talk track down that you want, or the delivery down that you want for the experience. And that's what Great Recruiters delivers. And you get your own, and it's also a really great marketing play from my perspective, because they give you each recruiter gets their own page, like website page, that they can display their, their about me, their bio, their photo, and what the reviews say, and the actual testimonials from the candidates. And then the companies get a roll-up page. So all the recruiters under that brand get a roll-up page, and they tie into the company. And so you can display the company page as a widget on your website. Because let's be honest, it's a people business and people trust people. So,
well, we are in a reviews obsessed world, right? I mean, we look at the number of stars for an Amazon purchase. We look at the number of stars or ratings on a YouTube video. The first thing I do when I look at a post is look at the comments, sometimes even before I look at the content of the post, if it's something, where there's a little bit of controversy. I know.
You love the drama.
Yeah, I love a little bit of drama, but the drama is, the entertainment is always in the comments. And so people are always eliciting, input. So I think something like this that creates a little bit of transparency, both with candidates and customer experience, will only, further the goodness behind your brand, right? So it's a great way for others to be able to see what others are saying about you in a good way.
Yep.
In a great way.
Proactively. And I call that digital trust. Got to build digital trust. All right. So that's Great Recruiters, guys. Go check them out at greatrecruiters.com. There's lots of puns I can make, but I'm going to stop myself. So, all right. In AI and automation news, I found some fun stats. Again, SIA, 80% of software engineers will need to be upskilled because of AI and how it's going to impact their coding. That is something we could probably ask the nerds from Guerrilla Works here in a second. But how do you feel about that, LJ?
Okay, so I've spouted out this statistic before, and I was just on a webinar. You are 70% more likely to be promoted and or hired if you have AI or prompt engineering or AI skills on your resume. This is going to be, I believe, as we navigate forward, kind of table stakes. You need to have these skills. You need to learn to prompt engineer. And so, we've talked about the 48 and 48. 48% of firms have AI as
using AI
today. The other 48%, are intend to, and the other 4% have their head in the sand. For the 48% that are intending to, you need to start with policy and education. Start with those.
There was a great ASA post that had it was SIA again. I think, SIA. They did a do's and don'ts for like your policy for your recruiter so they can have a checklist, which I thought was really cool.
I just did an interview.
Maybe ASA. I think it was ASA. I'm ridiculous.
I just did an interview this morning for another article on AI and automation, leveraging those things together, maintaining the humanity in our industry. And, there is still a large amount of fear around this that, AI and automation are going to replace, what should be the white glove handshake and all of these things. And, I guess my answer to that is no. It is there to enhance the experience. It is there to improve the experience, to speed the experience up, because those stats that I gave you out of, staffing success last month, over 70% of candidates will abandon a job application if it takes over 30 minutes. What better way to apply AI or automation than to improve and speed up that experience? So
did you listen to that podcast I sent you about from the NVIDIA podcast series about Sonic Jobs, the CEO? I put in the Slack channel for all of us. He has some crazy stats about abandonment. If you link someone, like if you go from a job board to your website, the abandonment that like I don't remember the stat. I listened to it quickly yesterday. But there's a high drop off of people going from like an Indeed to your website.
Correct.
So like having a AI chat or AI, prompt in, or like something prompting them to fill out the information inside of where they found the job, like highly improves conversion.
Yeah, quick applies. That's why Indeed quick apply was so popular for so long, because redirects really disrupt traffic and conversion.
If you've ever applied to a job at a university, the Workday application is an atrocity.
Oh, amen.
Anyway, all right. And then the other thing, Lauren, I meant to do this. I did this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Like, I loved prompt engineering. And I love the fact that we can just tell Gen Z that if they're prompt, they'll also retain their job now. So that they should know prompt engineering and they should be prompt.
Timeliness is close to godliness.
Hey, all right. Anyway, I thought that was a good dad joke for the
But look, the whole stat, 80% of software engineers will need to be upskilled. I say 80% of the workforce needs to be upskilled with these skills.
I mean, you show us AI stuff on like our weekly calls and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I use AI to spell check and grammar check and write sequences and do a lot of stuff for sales and marketing. A lot of it I usually just like I get it done and then I delete and add stuff that makes it sound like more like a human. But at least it's done and then I can go.
And there was a wild statistic I heard when I was talking with Henna at TempNet.
Henna Pryor, who is a workforce influencer.
We love Henna.
We love, who is
big
super
friend
awkward.
Of the show. Big friend of the show. Fantastic best-selling author, but I was keynoting with her last week or the week before. I don't know. They're all starting to blend in. 2 weeks ago, I was keynoting with her and we sat down for a fireside chat and she was talking about women and AI specifically and women's propensity to not use it because they feel like it's an unfair advantage or they're cheating. Ladies, I am here to tell you.
Yeah.
Use it. I know. Get out of your own way.
We're gonna have to ask our guest here in a second how much she uses AI. How do you feel about AI? Get ready for that question over here.
Yeah.
All right.
Get ready for it.
Yeah, she's like, God damn it. All right. They can see our guests in the waiting room, so I'm just giving them a hard time. Anyway, the other thing is okay. So Zapier. So Maddie Walker, our girl Maddie. So it's like, Rob, you have to. What happened? Am I not talking into the mic?
Yes, correct.
Did it disconnect?
No, it didn't disconnect, but you're too far away.
Maddie Walker was like, Rob, you have to watch the Zapier conference and what they built. So if you're not familiar with Zapier, it is a tool that connects enterprise apps or web apps through webhooks, which are a little bit easier than integrations usually. So Zapier has been the leader in that for God knows how long, a long time now.
Forever and ever.
And AI basically, like you can basically naturally language ask AI to connect apps and what you want the apps to do, and it'll go write it if it doesn't exist. It'll write the workflow if it does exist, but it's just natural language. Like, Lauren, I would like for you to take all of your LinkedIn followers and add them to our HubSpot account. I mean, we're not going to do this, but like that's an example. And then go to this other app and grab all their email addresses and put them in there. Bing, bada, boom. You tell Zapier to do it, and you hit run. You get that zap done. You get those functions done. So these are AI agents. So it's like very AI, and it's just agentic. Is that really going to be a word? That doesn't seem like it's a word. AI,
but I like it. It's not. Okay. It's not
a word, right? Okay, I feel better.
Yeah, it's like strategery.
Strategery should be a word. It's way better than
not
agentic.
A word, but I know Bush made it up. But a lot of people
listen,
use
of
it.
all the things that Bush made up, that one was not the worst. Strategery is fine. Strategery I can live with, Lauren. All right, but I think the Zapier thing is pretty wild and insane. So if you have Zapier in your tech stack for marketing purposes, probably, or social media, something data, look up like. There's a bunch of stuff it can do. Go check it out. It is incredible. And then the last thing that I saw that I thought was super cool was ChatGPT. They released the Canvas function. So now you can inline edit. So like you prompt it to do something, like write code, and then you want to add, and then you can go into the output, which you haven't been able to do before, and edit it inline. So you can edit the writing inline. You can add notes for your code inline. I thought that was pretty cool, because that is frustrating when you have to like copy it and put it in Word and then edit it, or put it where you're going to put it and then edit it and then bring it back to like to spell check it or whatever. So yeah, right in line. That's pretty exciting.
I'll give you one last cool tool that I've been watching for a while. I purchased it, then unpurchased it because it just hadn't come far enough.
You never actually unpurchase things. You unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Yeah, I unpurchased.
I love how you Lauren made up another word. Unpurchasing.
I did. I unpurchased it. I purchased it and then I unpurchased it. And anyway, I bought it and then I canceled it. And then I had heard that it had come a long way. So I decided to try it this weekend as I was, I had set about 3.5 hours aside to create this presentation. I took all of this meaningful content and I had, done most of the summarization myself. And I had done a bunch of trending on the data and stuff like that. So I took all of that information and put a very, very exceedingly lengthy prompt into Beautiful AI. Got very specific about what I wanted it to look like, the colors I wanted it to use, that I wanted it to be modern, et cetera, et cetera. And gosh, if it did not come out with, a near perfect output, it was chef's kiss for sure. Let me say I'm a very good prompt engineer, so it does take some nuancing.
She shows up on time, guys, all the time.
I do. I'm a very good prompt engineer.
She's always late to meetings.
I'm always. I go back to back all day long, so
I know. I'm not mad.
Sort of an occupational hazard. But anyway, a Beautiful AI I was very displeased with it previously when I had purchased it.
When you unpurchased it?
Far enough. Yeah. And I unpurchased it. But yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. You do have to be a good prompt engineer in order to, bask in the glory of its output. But yeah, it's come a long way.
All right. I'm going to put the link out there for you guys. It's just beautiful.
AI.
AI. All right. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Hold on. So in case you can't spell, which I apparently couldn't do. All right.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I messed it up the first time. All right. Beautiful.ai. Go check it out. It makes slide decks, which unfortunately we do all day. All right. Beautiful.ai. Lauren, let's get to our guest. I was going to find some theme music for him.
I'm so excited for this.
I have so many funny things to mess with them about. So let's welcome to the stage our good friends, Alessandra and Steven from Gorilla Works. What's up, guys?
Hey.
You guys want some music? Hold on.
Yes.
It's loading.
Okay, can you hear it? Because I can't.
Terrible.
I mean,
Rob's... No, it's not. Oh, there we go. Is it playing?
I can hear it a little bit.
Some weird hip hop going on. I like it. All right, that was weird. That's going to be your theme music from now on whenever I see you guys.
Yeah, Rob, I want some of those sound buttons. Where's my sound buttons where I can do or, ding, ding, or I just want something, or audience clap. We
can do that. We have the technology.
Yeah, you guys need some good background clapping so that you can use it every time you make it.
I can let's just someone text Lauren right now and it'll make background noise.
I'll have that up as my text notification, and it'll be.
And then I'll make dad jokes and text you at the same time. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna tell a dad joke, and then I'll. All right.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll welcome. So let's give a go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So we've been longtime friends, longtime partners with Gorilla Works and with Procom. So we're big fans of this Canadian little group now in the US. So excited to have you and so grateful to have you as partners. But tell us we love a good origin story, a good genesis. Tell us the origin story of Gorilla Works.
Yeah. So we had originally started as like an innovation lab as part of Procom. Mm-hmm. And we started we were building all these really cool tools in-house. And then we were going to conferences just to learn about the market and stuff. And people were coming up to us and asking us like, how, what do you use for this? What do you use for this? And we started explaining what we were using, which was the tools that we'd built. And then people just started asking, oh, can we use them too? Do you guys sell them? And so that's when we went home and decided like, yeah, maybe we should do this. If we solve these problems for Procom, can we take them out and help solve these problems for other people? So that's sort of how it all started.
I think that we have reached an inflection point in the industry because we have so much innovation happening by agencies, and it is because they're living and breathing these problems every day. And so I think that there's, an abundance of acceptance for this, whereas before it was, a little more passé or you didn't talk about it. But now we have so many agencies that own a really amazing technology that solve complex issues. And I don't think that there is anybody better qualified, quite frankly, to build some of these things than the people that live it and breathe it every day. So I love that you've now, jetted off into your own Guerrilla Works, your own software product. I think it's, a perfect output. And then Stephen, tell us about your product. I know there's multiple products, but give us your side, because your side is like where Aaron lives and breathes, and it confuses me and confounds me all the time. But you solve I run away problems.
When he talks to people and they're like, "Can you do this? Can you do this?" and he's like, "Yep." Like, it's so cool to see.
Nonchalantly, he's a nonchalant
yes. He's a nonchalant yes man. Yeah, of course we could do that. Like, really?
You can't? Come on.
Take the code to Mars.
Starts to make you starts to get a little like, inconsiderate with his response. Like, what? You can't do that, bro? He's not that rude, I promise.
No, we have a full and middle back office application. It's called Flex Back Office. We call it FBO just for short, just so we don't have to say that.
Flex Back Office is a mouthful. I just messed it up.
It's a mouthful. And the reason why, I think that, every time people ask us questions, can we do something? The answer is yes, is because we've seen it before and we've built it, specifically for staffing agencies to begin with, right? So, we start off with kind of like a very complex, company in complex cases, and, we kind of scale that out. So now we can see that, we have a lot of functionality that we can go end to end with. So onboarding, engagement management, with all your rates and all your, compliance piece. And then afterwards, as you do work, getting time, either natively through the app or through third-party VMS integrations, getting all that time into one centralized place, and then you'd be able to do all of your billing and all your payment in one place. So it's a full end-to-end, middle and back office system that we can do. And kind of like what we were looking at, like a lot of the companies that are kind of looking to scale, looking to grow. I know you guys, deal a lot with that too, is that they come in. And they go, okay, well, our business is growing. I need this. So then they go and buy this piece, and then they go again. Goes, I need this other thing. So then they buy another thing, and then they end up being, now I have 200 people that I manage, and I'm on 5 different systems.
Rank and stacking it.
Keep things up to date, up to sync. Yeah. Where's the source of truth? So we try to simplify all that. It's like, hey, this is a place where everybody can interact with. You can do all your work from there. Everybody knows where everything is because everything's all in one place.
Yeah, and the cool thing about what Stephen is building is you can also grow on it. So even if you're not at the place where you need all those 4 things, you can use what you need, and then as you grow, you can kind of just grow with it. No major changes are needed, which is cool.
Well, I think that so we look at a lot of product, right? So we've done almost a demo a day since 2020. We're looking at hundreds of products, and where we've seen the littlest amount of innovation and creation, quite frankly, is in this middle and back office space, and which fascinates me because it's one of the most complex areas. And I think this is probably why, because it's very difficult to talk about time capture and time interpretation and invoicing and payrolls and different rate cards and, this abundance of information. Paying people in different states is complex and it's difficult. And I don't think people outside of the industry appreciate that. You have tools that come in from outside the industry that are traditional HR and don't understand we're many to many on both sides. Many candidates, many customers, many rules,
many placements.
It's a very, very undervalued skill. or technology. And so I'm loving seeing innovation in this area, because I think we could make a really big impact when you talk about better, more accurate pay. Daily pay is becoming a thing. So I would love to know, like, what are some of the biggest problems you see that you're solving for in that space?
Besides for the fact that you have 6 different systems doing one thing.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big pieces that Stephen has recently solved for, which is super cool, the gorilla vision piece, Stephen, like one of the things, so we analyzed, if you, like a staffing agency, how long do they spend reviewing like consultant documents and other like vendor documentation to find mismatch or inconsistencies between like manually entered data versus like a license plate, a driver's license has been uploaded, and like or like LLC papers that don't match the number that you put in. I think we established that on average, organizations are spending about 800 man hours a month doing that document revision, which is
compliance on documents.
It's so much. And so, it's insane. It's so, because basically like we're always trying to find like, where can we help with like automation? Where do we put AI to alleviate those manual tasks so that people can spend time on, on what really matters, like the relationship building and talking to those clients and talking to those candidates. And so Stephen's developed this thing that we've recently launched that is super cool.
Wait, you said 800 hours, right?
800 hours. That's, at $20 an hour, that's
33 days.
It's obscenely long.
Yeah.
33 days. But
32 days. That's not even
if you pay somebody, $20 an hour, that's, that's $16,000.
Yeah.
What I would consider
eye scratching business. Just
exactly. That's the thing. And also you're also, because, humans are humans, there's human errors. If you're comparing numbers like that all day, you're going to make a mistake, and that's just normal. But these mistakes have really big implications, especially when we're looking at, compliance things and looking to make sure that, a company is registered in the right state and they have the right registration numbers and their registration is not expired, things like that. So those mistakes can have big impacts.
Well, the penalties,
Yeah,
Canada, California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, we're all exceedingly strict from a fine perspective.
Watch it when you talk about New Jersey.
New Jersey, sorry, you guys are really tough. New Jersey, New York, you guys don't mess around with the rules. But there is, it's not just $16,000 that you're potentially paying for.
The fees are way more.
It's the penalties that can bankrupt a firm.
Yeah,
exactly. So what Stephen has developed is this really, really cool AI tool that actually does that comparison for the agency, and then it just flags where the inconsistencies are. So instead of looking at everything, it's drawing your attention to what actually needs attention and what actually needs to be revised. Stephen, you can definitely do a better job of explaining this than I can, but I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of like goes to kind of like what you're talking about with AI, and does it kind of replace the white glove service? And like we agree, right? It shouldn't do that, right? What it should do is help you do those like really monotonous tasks that you're not that everybody is dreading doing, right? Like if you're looking at documents,
like looking at 800 hours worth of documents to compare for in compliance.
And the majority of the time, everything is fine, right? So like you're trying to scan things, looking for mistakes. Mistakes are not there, right?
And then you're bored.
Like 90% of the time, everything is fine, right? So you're spending 800 your man hours that are there for things that are usually fine already, right? So wouldn't you just rather just deal with the things that are not fine? You can find out, do I need to go back? Do I need to
change the process because apparently I captured the wrong info?
Like that, right? Like you're just dealing with the actual things that are wrong instead of wasting your time and getting an AI agent just to do things if everything is correct, right? So that's kind of like where we're looking at when you're talking about like, oh, how is AI going to be within the middle and back office? I think that's kind of like where a lot of the people's times are spent. Just like
I love that. I love the
compliance, being able to see things before they happen. I mean, how much waste do we have on credits and changes in pay. It's pretty.
In healthcare, they have credentialing teams that are just basically doing the same thing.
I had one small $20 million healthcare firm with 11 people overseas helping with credentialing. 11 people.
I was talking to a CEO and he was like, I have 25 people. You know how much that adds, like that takes from the bottom line? It's like, it's insane. And they're just doing basically what Stephen just described, like just compliance work, right? Like, so.
Yeah. The neat thing about the tool that Stephen built too is it's like front loaded. So they're even showing consultants throughout the onboarding process saying like, hey, there's a mismatch here. Do you want to fix it? So that it eliminates even getting those mismatches into the back office and the compliance team. So we're sort of tackling it at both ends of the onboarding process.
You moved validation up, right? Yes. The bigger you get, guys. Alessandra has heard.
I don't even understand that.
Alessandra has heard my lecture before, right? The bigger you get, the further validation should come up in the process. Validation of information should start with the candidate every step along the way. Then we validate with the recruiter and the sales, and then we validate. It's validate. And the larger you scale, the sooner that needs to start happening.
Exactly. Yeah, because even that way, we've seen that those mistakes, so they don't funnel in. Because as you know, when those mistakes funnel in, your onboarding process is kind of paused because you need to go back to the consultant. They can't onboard. It just creates like this whole mess. Yeah, exactly. And so this way, it's typically honest mistakes, right? People just like upload the wrong document. And so the tool just says like that number doesn't match this number. Do you want to revise it? This is the expected result. And this is what we're seeing. And then so they can just quickly change it. And then everything else can just flow really smoothly.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I love that you're solving problems there. Let's talk a little bit about the front office.
Yeah.
And all the amazing things you're doing up in the front office that are creating efficiencies.
Yeah. So what I'm really excited about right now is our Gorilla Resume. And so this is this really cool resume templating tool that we've built. And this came out of like, we just spoke with lots of people and we were like, hey, like what takes the most time as a recruiter that doesn't really add, the value that you're looking for. And they were saying that they spend, upwards of 20, 30 minutes like formatting and templating resumes before they can send it off to clients, but sometimes even before they can save those resumes into their database, because a lot of staffing agencies really want like all of the resumes in the database to be the same. And so we've built this really cool tool called Gorilla Resume. And what I find like fun is we built our own parser as part of this tool as well, just because when we were doing lots of tests and stuff, we really felt like we could add some extra coverage on the parsing. So to make sure that nothing from the resume gets missed out. And then, we allow clients to use their own templates. So if you have 5, 6, 7 templates that you use within your organization for like different clients or different industries, you can have as many as you'd like. And it's really taken the time to format down to minutes instead of, 20 plus.
Right. How many of you that are listening redact all of the PII that's on the resume and then put your logo up at the top left-hand corner, and then you put all your recruiter information at the bottom. And like there's a template that everybody has in mind. And there are certain ways that certain customers want to see things. I mean, I remember Apple wanted to see things a very, very specific way. So to be able to remove all of that, and we'd have to take the template and copy and paste and do this whole rigmarole. And the idea to have that automated is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then we have all these like AI prompts embedded into the tool, so you can like change the tense, right? So if your candidate's written some things in the first person, some things in the third person, some things in present or past,
you can standardize.
Yeah, you can standardize the tone,
people who talk in third person are just immediately eliminated from any consideration.
This is coming from Lauren, who likes to get mad at me and be like, well, LJ. No, I'm kidding. She doesn't have to.
LJ would be very angry about
LJ would be very
disappointed about themselves.
I know. But sometimes like on CVs, like previous experience, they'll put, people put it in the like first or third person, and it's not consistent.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's all sorts of cool stuff like that in there. And you can really go down as deep as you want. You could like remove gendered pronouns or leave, you can really play around with that. And it updates in seconds, and it's a pretty neat tool. And we have it embedded in Bullhorn. And then we're sort of looking to expand other ATSs at the moment, but it functions as a standalone as well.
Very
well,
cool.
And you've also got a submittal tool. I think one of the coolest things
lots
you
of
have
tools
that's sort of tied to the FBO component, if I'm, is the client portal.
Yeah.
This is where I see a little bit of newness. One of the biggest barriers that I used to have with customers where they had a portal was they didn't want to write the job description. So they sent us some stupid 2-sentence thing for something that, like, I really need to understand what it is that you want, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just send me 2 sentences and
that's not important, Lauren. It's irrelevant.
That all of that other stuff is irrelevant. I just need a guy or a gal who's going to be simple. Here doing the things.
It's
right?
simple. Just find me this.
Why don't you know? So, the idea that now our customers have access to be able to leverage AI to write a job description, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the front office, it flows really seamlessly into the back office in that submission portal. So clients can create a job description, submit it that way. They can receive the candidates that have been submitted to the job. And then once they're ready to hire, if the staffing agency is using our middle and back office, what's really neat is once that onboarding gets kicked off, the client can even see the onboarding progress. So they can see like, okay, this consultant their onboarding has been initiated. They have viewed it, but they haven't yet started it. They've made changes. It's back with the staffing agency. So they can really have like full visibility into the cycle and see, if there, for some reason, it's taking longer than they expect, they can see why. Like, oh, it's because the consultants requested changes, things like that.
That is what Rob calls the Domino's pizza experience.
Yes, exactly.
Where's my pizza?
Exactly. Yeah, we always joke, we're like, we want to create the Uber Eats of onboarding and of submissions. So we're like, how can we make this so clear? So we have like really big plans.
Please tell me. Go ahead, Rob. You go first.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Please tell me that I am not alone when you're really hungry and you've ordered something and you're looking to see where your driver is.
All the time. I have a newborn, so I always need to know everything in a prompt time. I am any moment away from a meltdown. And
again, I ordered some ice cream.
Like your own or your baby's?
Both. That's definitely both. Like I can melt down too.
Oh yeah, I was having a hankering for ice cream a few weeks ago.
Lauren can melt down too. Don't you worry.
I was melting down. I'm like, where is the ice cream? I wanted it so bad. And I was just watching like a creeper. This little guy, this poor woman who's delivering ice cream.
So yeah, no, I mean, the consumer. I think we're still undervaluing as an industry, as like people who work in our industry. We're undervaluing the fact that people really want consumer experiences.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I was having this conversation with our good friend, Lauren Andre. And like,
love Andre.
People don't value that Uber experience. Yeah. Like, again, go to Workday, go to a company that has Workday as their HRIS and go apply for a job and tell me that you don't want to rip your eyeballs out because I could have ordered like 45 pizzas from 45 different restaurants in the time it took me to complete this goddamn application for no good reason. It's absurd. And I don't want to slander Workday because I don't think they're the only one. They're just the one I've done recently. So sorry, Workday, but also get your shit together. But like, it's just, I mean, again, I know it's enterprise, whatever, but it's just like, where's the consumer experience of getting someone to work?
We've been talking about this for a few years post-COVID, right? During COVID, we got really good at being consumers at home. We were ordering our groceries at home.
As I ordered 5 things from Amazon during this conversation. I just want to be honest with you.
But we were we became really good at being consumers and expecting things very, very quickly. And that same behavior is bound to translate to the job market. And anybody who's thinking otherwise is really just avoiding, the progression of it, I think. Look at gaming. Right. And look at consumers. When you look at gaming right now, there's a lot of auditory games. Right. So, think of a world where it's Alexa, update my resume. Alexa, shut up, Alexa. She's responding.
A word. You say the A word. We all know you mean.
But you've got to watch different things outside of our industry to see, sort of behave, what's going to be brought to the job seeking experience. And one of those, I think, is going to be an auditory, an audible experience. And the other is that consumerism that we got so good at post-COVID. And some have done it very elegantly in, infusing some of that. And I think some are still way behind. But I do love the fact that you're taking all of these puzzle pieces from an experience and sewing them all together, right? The idea is I seamlessly can get onboarded and I have a great experience in looking for jobs that are attributed to me. And then once I'm on assignment, I can still engage. And then on the other side, you've got the client that can have that same seamless experience.
Exactly.
And you're marrying all these things together. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And the neat thing is, like, if somebody just wants the Gorilla resume, because they just want to be able to do that, like they can get just that. But then if they want everything, they can get it. So it's like you can really like pick and choose as you grow. Like you might just need Gorilla resume today. You don't necessarily need the submission portal, but then eventually you might, and you can kind of like weave that back into the back office solution if you're using FBO. So it's really it's pretty cool.
You're like the best-selling modular sofa.
All right. So guys, as we start
based on your apartment size.
There you go.
Ooh, I like that. By the way, we were almost guilty of ordering too many sections of a sectional and making it bigger than our living room wall. But we realized before it came, thankfully. We're like, this thing is huge. And the wall's not small, so it was pretty impressive.
So where do people find out more about GorillaWorks?
Well, hold on. I wanted to do a little more easier thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We talked a lot of different parts of GorillaWorks. So let's just give it like the too long, didn't read.
Yeah.
Back to basics. So in the revenue generating side of the house, what we'll call front office, we have a client portal.
Yeah.
We have Gorilla resume.
Yes.
The client portal has submissions, like a submission platform in there, right?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything on the front office side of the house?
We have some fun like AI integrations in the client portal, but also that you can embed into your ATS. Okay.
So what are those real quick? Give me the.
So those are like that job description generator. Clients can use it, but you can also have that in-house. And then
I did like that about that. I've always liked that. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's because you can have like, as some consistent templating there. So you don't need to, you can take the client's job description and template it to your own. Then we have some like interview questions that you can generate based on candidates' profiles and job descriptions, and candidate summaries. Also, you can tailor them for the submission. So like if you're submitting a candidate to a specific job, it'll look at both and then give you, spit you out a little blurb as to why the candidate may or may not be a good fit for that role.
I appreciate it. And now, Stephen, and now that we're past front office and we're going to go to middle and back, what are all the things that GorillaWorks does back there?
So we do onboarding. This will be something that the contractor will get a package from once they're hired to be able to fill in. Once that's all done and validated, that flows into FBO, which then generates everything, all the pieces that they need for the engagement. So their work terms, their rates, all the compliance things that we need. So these could be like government regulations or anything that's client based. So those are all customizable. You can maintain them pretty much through self-service. We have then our Gorilla Vision AI, which will then validate any documents that has been generated. And then all those rules that for any document type, those are all like self-maintained as well. So if you have a brand new document, you can just say, oh, hey, for this document, I want to check first name or last name, or make sure the client name is correct. Like all those all those things that are there. You can just all generate them for every document. And then that will just kind of go through. We have for timesheets and expenses, we have native timesheet entry and expense entry, as well as time import through VMSs. So any VMSs or any file format will be able to take and configure and just dump that into our system. So everything has one place for timesheets. And then after that, we will generate bill side and pay side entities so that you can do gross margin tracking for every transaction. You can then bill. You can send off bill through our invoicing modules and pay through our payment modules. So and then we support
onboarding, time and expense capture,
bill and pay,
payroll.
Yep, invoice.
I missed one.
Invoicing.
Oh yeah, invoicing and time interpretation, right?
Yep.
And then on top of that, for the compliance side, you have Gorilla Vision, which is a very fun named product because who doesn't want some Gorilla Vision? All right.
Who doesn't want it?
Guys,
so how do they find you?
Yeah.
GorillaWorks.io, or we're on LinkedIn, but GorillaWorks.io is a good place to start.
Amazing.
It's a great place to start, especially if you want to figure out all of the modules that you guys can module. Yeah, that's.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Alessandra.
Part by
No
part.
problem.
Oh
Thanks
God, Rob's gonna keep going with modular unless we shut him up.
All right, the dad jokes are over. It's always great, you two. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you guys again. Find them at GorillaWorks.io. I am Rob. That is Lauren.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is the YOE Experience podcast. Peace, y'all.